In this lesson, we're going to talk about tables in Excel. So Excel has created a next level spreadsheet, if you will, when we are using a table. And it helps us to manipulate data, maybe not as powerful as a pivot table would be, but it is a little more powerful than just a regular spreadsheet. And we are going to look at how, in the first part of this lesson, how to do what they call a quick format in regards to a table. So I'm going to use my 09 Pet Pharma Sales document here, and we've been using this Woodhill Animal Clinic in this lesson. And in this one, we are looking at, medicines that are used to prescribe and treat animals. So we see over here on the left-hand side the drug, what it's used for, like fleas or ear, anxiety, to treat a cat or a dog, or cat or dog, number of cases, item per case, loose items, item on hand, so on and so forth with my inventory here. So I am going to start with we have August sales and August sales analysis. We're going to be on the August sales worksheet, and I'm going to select A6 to K93. So I am selecting all my data, including my column headings. Now, I go to the Home ribbon. Now, most of this lesson's been on the Data tab. The tables are on the Home ribbon. And I am going to go to Format as Table, which is in the Styles group. And then you see there are three sections: light, medium, and dark. And I am going to pick Table Style Medium 2. So when I see that word medium, I know to go to medium, so I'm not wasting so much time looking through everything. And I want Table Style Medium 2. So right here, this blue one. And then here's our dialog box for tables. It's very small. It says Format as Table, and the only two things you can do is repick your range and say if you have column headings or not. Well, row 6 is column headings, so I'm going to leave that checked. And I want 6 all the way down to 93, so that looks about right. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to press OK. So now what happens is if I'm inside my table, I have a contextual tab called Table Tools Design. And if I'm outside my table, that contextual tab goes away. And as we work through the lesson today, we will get through almost everything up here on this contextual tab, since there is only one of them. All right. It says one of the first things we're going to look at here is a feature that allows us to bold things. So on the contextual tab, again, all you have to do is be selected in the table, Table Tools Design. I'm going to Table Style Options, and Header Row is on. If I turn that off, that's what happens with row 6. Most of the time you're going to want that on. Banded rows is going to make every other color or every other row a different color based on the style that you picked. Okay. And then first column is going to bold the first column. Last column is going to bold the last column. Banded columns would band every other column. We don't see that as much. And then filter button would get rid of the filter buttons on row 6. Maybe you're using this to present and you don't want them there. It's still a table. I can still see it's a table because I have the contextual tab, but maybe I don't want those there for presentation means so I can see all my column headings, but that is an option to turn those on and turn those off. All right, so they would like us to do last column, which simply means column K in this case, will be bolded. And those are total sales. Those are like grand numbers. So we tend to bold those. Okay, so using the August sales worksheet, again, it says click anywhere inside the table, so we're activated, so which we are, and it says on the Design tab in the Table Styles group, click the More button arrow under our Table Styles. And it's over here on the right-hand side under Table Tools Designs, and they want us to change our style. And they want Table Style Light 17. So remember, it's light, medium, and then dark. So we're up here at light this time, and we want 17. Now the upside is that these are in order, so you don't kind of have to hunt around, you just have to find where the number is. So I'm going to click on this. Now it's a shade of red. So that's as easy as you can do about changing the formatting, or the styling, I should say, on the table. Now, it says to automatically apply boldface to the rightmost column, which we've done with last column. And then it says in the table styles option group, ensure last column is checked. And then it says to automatically apply boldface to the leftmost column. So that would be, you got it, first column. And then they want us to go ahead and save this, which I'm going to do. It's going to be 09 Pet Pharma Sales August Solution. I press OK, or save, excuse me. All right. All right, so the next thing we are going to talk about is defining a table, and I'm going to pull up the PowerPoint so you can see kind of what they're talking about. If you have the PowerPoint at home, I would probably pull this up, or your notes, so you can kind of look over this as well. This is the one big difference between tables and an ordinary range is that the table can be given a title so that it and its columns can be referred to by name instead of by reference location. For when you write formulas that reference part of the table, as you don't know where they are located, or what they're called. So we've done this in class before. So essentially what it's saying is we're going to give the table a name. And the reason why we're going to give the table a name is because then I can reference, instead of referencing ranges like B2 to B200, I can just reference that column name, which they're going to start calling a field name. So I could reference for use on inside of this entire table, almost like a named range when you are naming the table, or when you're naming a range, like a column range. It will kind of drill down and pinpoint and go to things a little more efficiently than selecting a range, essentially, is what is going on here in this lesson. So they're telling you B2 to B55 would be sales inventory table, and then we could reference sales price. But take note, when I am referencing, the inventory is the actual table name, and sale price is the field name, or the column name. Column and field are the same thing. And we use square brackets left and right to indicate a column name or a field name. And on this slide, they talk about how you would name the table, and then you would have then automatically come the field names, and every field name is in a set of square brackets. And then they talk in this one some other general rules about tables, and I can zoom in just a little bit, that the pound all is going to be to set all cells on the table. Pound data is to set of all the cells that contain data, excluding header rows, which is important when you're kind of doing calculations and things. Pound header is the set for just the first row, the headers, and then pound total is a reference to use just the total row, which we'll get to in this lesson as well. Okay. So this is what you'll see when you're defining the table. You'll see this little symbol. It looks like a little table, and then the name of the table. And then when you are going through and you are naming the actual fields or the columns, you'll start to use these little square brackets here before and after the actual name of the field. But you'll see them in a drop-down list too, so you don't have to type them in because they are very character specific. And then whenever you want to use the pound all, pound data, pound header, pound totals, you would follow this setup as well. And then you press tab. Okay, so let's go back and let's give this a whirl. Okay. So we're back on August sales, and we're inside of our table. And then we are going to go to the design tab again, and we're going to be in the properties group. Notice I don't have to select anything in particular as long as I'm inside of the table. And we are going to name this drug sales, all one word. And then when you are done naming it, you are sure it is correct because it's not an easy thing just to undo. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to press enter. Now, if I click anywhere inside this table and I'm looking up here in the upper left-hand corner, I should see that name. If I click outside the table, it goes away. Now, it falls under the structure of named ranges. So if I go to Formulas ribbon and define names and click on Name Manager, it's there. Okay. And notice that I cannot delete it. This is why I said you have to be really careful when you are naming it. I can change it. I could change the name, but I can't necessarily get rid of it like I can any of my other named ranges. Okay, so now we're going to start to use the actual formulas and the functions that go along with the table and the table name. So down here, outside of my table, is a subset of information. Now, if I click in this, it has nothing to do with my table, but I'm going to reference stuff up in here in my table. So what we're going to do is we're going to see how we can use a function that references a table outside the table, and then we're going to do some functions where you are actually inside the table. So I am in D97, and D97 says, I want my total sales. Well, they've used K7 to K93 to do that, which is right, but I'm going to do it a little bit more table structured wise. So I'm going to still start with equals down here, and I'm still going to start with sum, and I'm going to do my left parenthesis. But remember, my table name was drug sales. So the second I start typing in DR, here comes that drop-down menu, sometimes called IntelliSense list. And I am going to see drug sales. Now I could keep typing, but I would rather be sure that it's right because any mischaracter click type will mess this up. So I am going to double click on drug sales. And now if you can see up here, it is referencing that whole entire table. It's outlined in blue. All right, and you can double click on it, or you can also press tab if you want to as well. All right, so now I want to reference a column, okay, inside of my table. So I need that left square bracket, and here comes the list of all the columns, okay? So I want total sales. So I'm going to double click on that, and I'm going to put my right square bracket in. And it's not until I put my right square bracket in that I see it referencing over here the column K. So what I have said is I want a total, something in the drug sales table, in particular, the total sales column. All right, so I'm going to press enter, and I should have 261,808.56, which is the same number as I had before, but now the difference is it's not simply a sum function anymore. If I look up here, it is a sum function referencing a table and referencing a column. So again, it's like the difference between typing in 2 plus 2 in a cell. I'll still get 4, but if I referenced a cell, and then I change that content, it makes it a little more powerful. Okay, so the next one is a little bit more difficult. We are going to look for the drugs, the sales for just items that are for dogs. And then we're going to look for sales that are just for cats. So we're looking for the sales over here in column K, but only if they are for a dog. So if I look over here, here's my information on what's for a dog. And then for a cat will be the second one, not dog or cat, not puppy. Okay, they just want dog. And I could do more than one if I wanted to. I could do dog as well as dog or cat, but they are just starting off maybe a little bit more simpler with this one. So what I'm doing is I'm still totaling, I'm still summing, but only if it meets criteria. So the function that we'll learn about in lesson 10 that has to do with this is called a sum if, okay? And you can kind of see it up here in our formula bar. It says sum if, and then if it says if C7 to C93, which is this column here, has the word dog, If you see dog in this column, come over to K and take that number and then keep going. So what's essentially going to happen here, and we could do this with a calculator if we wanted to, is I'm going to start in column C. If I find the word dog, I'm going to take that number over here in K. And then I'm going to come back here, find the word dog, take the number over here, add it. Take the door, come back over here, find the word dog, come over here, add that number to the other ones, so on and so forth. Okay, and it's going to do it faster than even I can talk. So I, though, of course, want to do this with my table function. So I'm going to type in sum if. Now notice that there's sum if and sum ifs. I told you if we wanted to do dog as well as dog or cat, that would be more than one criteria. We'd use sum ifs. We really only have one criteria. We're only looking for dog in this case. So I'm going to double click on sum if, and then I am ready to go. So what I am looking for now is if they are a dog. And that column that had that in there was the to treat column. So I'm going to do a left square bracket, and I'm going to start, and I am, excuse me, I'm going to type in my table name. I'm going to type in drug sales. So I'm referencing, actually I can use that as a teachable moment. So I started to type in the column name to treat, and notice it does not find it. It does not give me that drop down list. And the reason is because I'm outside of the table right now and it can't find it. Why can't it find it? Because I didn't put the table name in. It's not knowing to go reference up in the table because I didn't put the table name in. So after equals sum if left parenthesis, I should have typed in drug sales, and now it references the table. Now I can do a left square bracket and I can get my field name list. So I'm going to double click on to treat, and I'm going to put a right square bracket in. So now I am going to the drug sales table. I am looking in the to treat column, okay? And I am looking for if they are a dog. So I need a comma to end that argument, okay? And now I need the word dog, and it's got to be exact as it is in there. So it's a capital D, lowercase OG. And we put that in double quotes when we're hand typing it in, okay? And I will show, when you use, in lesson 10, when we're doing this together, you'll see that it's a little bit different when you're using the dialog box. You don't have to know all of this per se as much as this as you do when you're going to hand write out a function. This is a little bit harder to do. So it says total it if it's in the drug sales table, in the to treat column, and if it's a dog. That's what we have so far. Then we put another comma in because that's the end of that argument. I remember commas separate arguments. And then I'm going to go back and I'm going to type in drug sales again because I want to go back up to the table again. I'm referencing something else, and it's a different color this time because it's the second time I'm referencing it. And then I'm going to put a left square bracket in, and this time I want total sales. And here's that pound all and pound data that we were talking about before, headers. Okay. And then before we talked about the @ symbol with this row. So I am going to click on total sales and put my right square bracket in. I'm going to put my right parenthesis in. So I'm going to total it if it's in the drug sales table. It's in the to treat column, and once I'm in the to treat column, I don't want everything. I want if it's a dog. Then once it's found dog, it's going to go back to the drug sales table, and it's going to go to the total sales column and take that number. So it's going to go up here to this column. Once it finds this word dog, it's going to come over here and take this number because that's what I've told it to do. And it's going to do that for every single one of them. I press enter. 1576917 Now I could go ahead and do that same thing for cat. Okay. Or if I was thinking, I could just technically fill this down because everything is the same except for the word dog would be cat. And I end up with, what is it, $26,532.31. Okay. But if I wanted more practice, I would do equals sum if, left parenthesis, referencing the drug sales worksheet. I am going to put a left square bracket in because I'm looking for the to treat column. Right square bracket to say that I'm done referencing that name of that column. I'm going to put a comma in, double quote, cat, C-A-T, double quote, because I'm looking for cats. Cat though, because it's not cats if you look over here in column C, comma. And now I am going to reference back to that drug sales table again. I'm going to do a left square bracket, and this time I want total sales. And then I'm going to right square bracket, right parenthesis, and I still end up with $26,532.31. But you can't fill and just change the one that you need when it's similar, or copy and paste too, because again, it's not referencing cells anymore, which is cool. It's referencing the column name, so everything is essentially locked in, and I can take this and move this wherever I want to, or copy and paste it essentially. All right, so the next time we do this, it is going to be a little bit more complicated, okay, in regards to the function that I put in here, but we'll be okay. All right, so I am now going to use what's called the total row, okay? So says select any cell inside the table, and it gives us back our Table Tools Design Contextual tab. And if we click on that and we go to Table Style Options, I see that there's an option for total row. And once I enable that, check it, right below, the row below, if I turn that back off, look, 93 is the last row in my table. Once I click on that, row 94 appears, and it says total. And then over here is the total, which is the same total down here in my C98, as it should be. As I've said before, it's an easy way to double check yourself, because in accounting, there's usually two ways to make sure you have the right number. Now, I can change the wording over here in A94 if I wanted to. I don't have to have total. I can change to something else. And each one of these has a down arrow, and I can press that and pick the functions. If I go to more functions, it'll take me to my insert function, or my FX. So they would like us to know that the total row will always go to the last row below the table. There's no real customizing a total row. It's just where it goes. All right. We are going to click the down arrow that appears for our item price, and they would like us to find the average. So if I click on this, it's using the subtotal function in 101, and this goes back to the sheet that we looked at before. If I still have it in my list here. I know I have a lot of tabs open. But if I pull up from our lesson the other day, I put in this sheet here in the 101. We're using the triple digit numbers now, but the 101 means average, and that's what I just picked. So now we're using this column opposed to this one when we did the subtotals the other day. Okay, so if I come back here, okay, and I see equals subtotal 101 item price. So 101 means average. Okay, and now they would like us to repeat the process to find the max items sold. So if I come over here to numbers sold, I drop down and I pick max, and it's equals subtotal 104, and that's what max is, 104 with this particular function. And then it wants us to go ahead and press save. And I could continue that process for any of these other ones by pressing that drop down arrow if I wanted to. I forgot to show you down here in D99 that when I press FX, here's my argument dialog box that we'll look at when we get into lesson 10. So this is how this gets set up, and it might help you out a little bit better to have those instead of the argument boxes instead of typing it in. The other thing I wanted to show you, notice down here when I'm outside of the table and I'm in D99, I see, my letters that I normally see and my numbers. But when I click inside my table, they change to the names of the fields, and I still have my numbers. Just a quick little point. I'm going to press save. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to use a function, and in our function we are going to be next to the table. So I'm going to come up here, and it wants me still to be in August sales, and it wants me to pick A88. Okay, and we are going to go to the Home tab in the Cells group, and I'm going to drop down Insert. And notice we have more choices. We have Insert Cell, Insert Sheet Rows, Insert Sheet Columns, Insert Table Above Row, Insert Table Columns to the left, Insert Sheet. So now that I'm in a table, I have table options. And you generally want to pick the ones for table when you're in a table because it'll keep the structure of the table. Okay, so I'm going to do Insert Table Row Above, and I have a new row. And if I come over here to my Design Contextual tab, I can see that it's kept the structure, and I know it has too because I can see this little arrow down here in the corner of K95, and that's the resizing handle for renaming the table, and that is still there. So it will expand the range of the table for you. All right, so we're going to type in a new drug for our animals, SOLOXINE, and this is going to oops, I'm not all the way over. Hold on, y'all, I just gone and messed this up. Let me undo. Hold on. All right, teachable moment again. My table name is not referencing column A, so I can fix that. I can go to Table Tools, Design, Resize Table, and I can change that B to A. And press OK. And now it's included. All right, and now I can come down here, and I can go back to adding my drug name in. So number of cases are 7, and there are 20 per case. Moves items is 2, and it's automatically calculating because it's took the formula from the rows around it. And we are going to come over to items remaining, which is our H88. And we have 41 remaining when we go count. That's going to take care of the number sold. It's going to do the math between G and H for us. And then we're going to type in $25.95 for my item price. And I am going to have $2,620.95. And it's automatically going to figure out the sales based on the I88 and J88 by multiplying, and I can see that up here in my formula bar. Okay, now they want us to go up to row 32. They would like us to select anything in row 32, so I'm just going to select dewormer, and I'm going to go to the Home tab, And I am going to go to the cells group and I'm going to drop down delete. And notice again, we have the regulars and then we have the delete table row and delete table columns. They would like us to delete table rows. So 32 is gone and everything moves up. All right, and then the table refixes itself and renames it as we do all this. Okay, now we're going to select any cell in column I, which is our number sold. Okay, so I'm going to pick 28 and I'm going to go to the home tab in the cells group and I am going to click delete table columns. And the reason why J becomes a pound ref is because it was referencing that and it is now confused because there's no more information to reference, so the pound ref appears. So now we're going to fix this. So it says, with the cell in column I still selected, so I have the 3295 selected, click the down arrow next to the insert in the cells group on the home tab and insert table columns to the left. And I still have that pound ref because it still can't find that name of that field anymore. All right, so in my new column, I am going to type in NO period, and then I'm going to type a space, and I'm going to type in SOLD, no space, press enter. Okay, so in I7, I'm going to put my formula in. So number sold, I'm going to type in equals. I'm going to do a left square bracket, and it is items on hand, right square bracket, minus left square bracket, and it items remaining. And I'm going to put a right square bracket in there. Now notice this time, I did not need the table name. And the reason why I didn't need the table name like I did down in the 90s in the rows, below the table is because I was outside the table. This time I'm inside the table, so it's implied I'm referencing things inside of the table. I'm going to press enter, and it fills all the way down. Still have my pound ref issue because the table name, the field name that it was using before is still gone. All right, now I'm going to click in K7, and I'm going to fix this problem. So I'm going to type in equals, and I'm going to do a left square bracket. Again, I'm inside the table, so I don't need the name of the table. Number sold, right square bracket. I'm multiplying this, so Shift 8. And I am a left square bracket, and I'm looking for item price, right square bracket, press enter. And now it doesn't fill this one automatically because of that pound ref like it did in the number sold. So I have to go and I have to fill it down myself, just to 93. And it fixes. Now, I should have the same numbers in my K94 as I do down here in D98 because they're still tied together, and it's a good way to make sure I'm still doing everything correct. All right. Now they want us to click L7. So I'm going to show you next how to, you'll see. Okay, so now I'm going to type in equals, and I'm going to type in a left square bracket, and I'm going to type in TOTAL, press my space bar, sales, right square bracket, and divide by the average. I'm going to double click on average, so I'm going to type it all out. And then I get the left parenthesis, left square bracket, TOTAL, space, sales, right square bracket, right parenthesis. All right, now I'm outside of the table. I referenced the table columns, but I didn't put the table name in there. But I'm right next to the table. Watch what happens. It assumes, since I'm right next to the table, that I want to add it to the table. It expands the name of it, and formats it for me. So it's a neat little feature if you're right next to a table that I don't actually have to put the table name in, essentially because I want to make it be part of the table and expand the table as opposed to down here where I was referencing the table, but I wasn't trying to add on to the table. This time I was trying to add on to the table and I was right next to it and was smart enough to pick that up, which is pretty neat for at least a computer. Okay, so we're going to rename this. I'm going to come up here to the formula bar. It is going to be renamed percent of average. I'm going to press enter, and now it has a name, and they want us to select L7 all the way down to 93, and they want us to it says select and give the range the percent style, so that's on the home tab in the number group. And then it says Excel does not automatically copy the custom cell style down the column, so you must select the range, which I did. Note that Excel has moved the last table column to boldface because L is now the last column, and it's no longer boldfaced in K. And then they tell us to delete this column so you can get practice at deleting it. But I'm going to leave it there just for a reminder of what we have done when we come back in the next part of this lesson. All right. I hope that makes you feel more comfortable about converting your data to a table and manipulating it with functions. Thank you.